Welcome back. I'm Representative Patricia Morgan, and today we have with us Doug Ouimette, who is the owner of a Subway. He's a small businessman.
Yep.
And you're struggling with minimum wage increases. I think in the last segment we made sure everybody knows that you're not swimming in the dough. Right? You're just making the dough and trying to bake it, right? We were talking about minimum wage. When it goes, all right, so I guess for the people I think we need to educate people about kind of the corrosive effects of this.
Right.
And I think I'd like to talk about that a little bit in this segment. In the last 4 years, we've raised the minimum wage every year.
Yep.
Every year. So it started 5 years ago, I guess, at $7.40. If we increase it this year, it will be $10.10. That's a 36% increase.
Yep.
That's 36% raises over the last 5 years. Do you know anybody in a skilled position who has got 36% increase in the last 5 years?
I almost don't know anyone in skilled positions, possibly who've gotten raises at all in the last 5 years.
I think they're lucky if they've gotten 2%
Correct.
a year.
Yep.
Not, what would that be, like 5%, 6%, almost 7% a year, 6% a year.
Yep.
Nobody's made 6 and 7% raises a year.
No.
Nobody has. Seriously, people with degrees and incredible skills are getting 2%.
Right.
If they're lucky. So what has that done for those people who have gone to maybe CCRI, gotten a 2-year degree so that they have a skill that's marketable? Have you seen any impact in that in your area?
Well, actually in the medical field, a CNA is a nice step into a good ladder type position.
Sure.
You can become a CNA with I think it's a 2-year degree or even less, and make like $11, $12 an hour, best I understand, and some of the better wages would be as much as $13. That's a very common scenario.
Kind of
I
entry
see.
level into a skilled profession.
Yes, yes. I get girls that come out of high school and say, you know what, I'm going to be a CNA and someday, so you wonder whether to hire them or not, but you always end up with a good motivated worker, so you do. And they work for you, they put themselves through school, and they go do that. And you never see them again, but I'm happy for people who want to better themselves.
Sure.
But lately, or recently I should say, I've gotten 2 employees come back from being a CNA. They see it going to be $10.10 an hour and shooting for 15, and they feel like, and this is exactly what they've explained to me, why do I want to take care of elderly folks in a nursing home,
Wiping the chins.
keeping them clean, whatever it is, for $11, $12 an hour when I can make $10.10 saying you want lettuce on your sandwich? Do you, or do you want fries with that, per se?
So it's breaking down their motivation to actually improve themselves, because
Right.
doing more pleasant work, they
Right.
get paid the same.
Right, and just even within the small body of employees that I have, per se, when it was $7.40 and I paid a shift leader $9 and I paid a manager $10 maybe. I mean,
Taking extra responsibility on. Sure.
correct, and they're naturally better workers. People's work ethics are what they are. I don't care what you pay them. I've been doing this long enough to know that. So now, let's say minimum wage is $10.10. It's basically what everybody's been happy making what they're making, including my shift leaders at $9 and $10 an hour. But now they're not happy because my shift leaders are making minimum wage. So now
And you can't afford.
Oh gosh, and
What does $1? So we're increasing the minimum wage by $1. What does that mean to your bottom line?
If you have, say, 10 employees or less, and you increase minimum wage $1, that's $20,000 a year that adds to my working capital to pay
Operating costs.
Operating costs, thank you very much. So what that actually is, if you have 10 employees, they're each making $20,000. That's paying an invisible employee. That's actually a
That's a whole nother
person.
job.
So you've got a choice to make. I can let someone go, which I have had to do, and now where I wish I had 3 folks, I have 2. So customer service,
Slower. Yeah,
pays.
they're not as happy.
People are looking at their watches during lunch hour, and they might not come back. And business has gone down. That could be another one of the reasons why business has stayed flat or gone down. We talked about, is it economy or competition? Maybe the level of service, we're working twice as hard, and the service probably is 90% of what
Not
it
as
used
fast.
to be.
Sure.
So,
Fast food is supposed to be fast, and if it's not, you might go somewhere else.
right,
Yeah.
and I've also noticed that the folks who,
But you can't afford to keep paying them more because you can't raise your,
Right.
you can't raise your prices.
so if it
The
takes,
cost of your ingredients is going up. You really you can't make up for it. So it
Right.
just keeps deteriorating the business.
yes, and I don't want to become mathematically complicated here, but if you make $200,000 for your employees, that's payroll, believe it or not, on $500,000, you have to make $500,000 a year for me to make 20% of that.
Okay.
So, you get $200,000 for employees and $100,000 for the owner. If
And the rest is taxes and regulations. and-
Food and service
property
and...
taxes and all that kind of stuff.
Rent, electricity. You pay now $20,000 more to the employees. Well, now they've got $220 to so-called put in the economy. But now I have 80. So there's still $300,000 going into the economy, but actually less because now that money has gone from me to them and it's taxed again.
Sure.
Okay, so now let's go from...
More taxes
Let's
come
go
out of
from
the higher
7 to
wages.
8, cost me, I'm down to 80. Let's go from 8 to 9, 20,000 more. I'm not making any more money. This money just doesn't fall out of the sky. There's just a certain amount of money.
Yeah, because wages rise doesn't mean profitability rises. You're not getting more customers
I'm not
because
getting
you're
more customers.
paying more wages. You're not being able to raise your prices because you raised wages.
Correct.
You're not getting more productivity from your employees because
No.
you raised wages. You're just simply raising wages.
Right, and
The business is not growing.
the value of my business, you spend $100,000 or $200,000 to open, hoping to get that money back, and then maybe someday sell it or hand it down to family or whatever, it's now worth about a third of what it was. If you have a business making $100,000, you can sell that for $200,000. Easy.
Sure.
Now it's making 80, so you think, let's do the math, I can get 160 for that. No, you can't, because now there's less and less folks. So now make it down to worth, it goes up to 1010. The business is now worth $50,000. It's worth nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to buy a $40,000 or $50,000 job.
No, they don't. And clearly, your employees don't want to have that either. They want something a whole lot more,
Right,
right?
right.
But that comes at a cost. It comes at a cost to our economy in that instead of using that $20,000 to grow another entry-level job for high school kids, which is what most of your
Right.
employees
Oh,
start
right.
at, we've eliminated it.
Right.
So a kid is sitting home playing video games instead of learning the skills they need to be a good employee.
Right.
Right? A better employee. Being there on time, taking responsibility, working with customers. It's just not the way to go.
No.
At any rate, we're going to take a break right now and we'll come right back.